said, we feed off. I do want to see us live. We are live here at the Manifestation Conference. It is an honor to be here.
Yes,
We
sir.
have our leader. Hold on one second. Let me turn this down real quick. Um, we basically the reason why I have to turn that down because I'm also watching it as well. So what I need you guys to do is to send your questions in as we are starting for this creative portion of the Manifestation Conference. Who we have here is my friend and brother, Larico Brenton, all the way from Nashville, Tennessee. I wish that everybody was here. It's always better to have the saints in the house, but due to COVID and other things, a lot of people were not able to make it. But we are here live to talk to those here on the Manifestation Conference page. And so we're going to ask my friend Larico Brenton to introduce himself, and we can go from there.
Yes, sir. Thank you. It's such an honor to be here. I'm so grateful for the invitation. I'm telling you, I'm so humbled. And I don't just say that because I'm here, but I'm so humbled. Such a great honor to meet the host, Pastor Milton Bolton. I'm telling you, it's an honor to be here. But of course, like he said, I'm Larico Britton. I am from Gallatin, Tennessee, which is a little city outside of Nashville, Tennessee. I do live in Nashville, Tennessee now. But I'm just a country boy that loves Jesus. I mean, I am completely country. So if I say something, you'll pick up on my country vernacular in just a little bit if you haven't already. And so if you're in the comment section and you see something or hear something that you don't understand, I promise you, just type in and say, what did you say again, man of God? And I'll correct it because I'm telling you, where I'm from, they call me country than chicken feet. And so I may just say something that don't really make sense to you, and I'll make sure that I correct that to make sure that you understand. But yeah, I am from Nashville, Tennessee, and I just love God.
Can you let everyone know, how did you start off and how did you get to where you are now as a graphic designer?
Yes, sir. So I started graphic design at about, it was 2014, 2013, 2014, up until this very point. And it's crazy because I literally do not know what this gift, well, I do know where it came from. It come from God, but it just literally set on me. Like I never went to school for it at that point. I just had a desire. I started off doing bulletins and stuff for my church with using PowerPoint. And so I went from there, and then I desired to go to school. I went to school a little bit, but school was so expensive, so I'm pretty much self-taught. And so I have had amazing opportunities. I have been blessed to work with so many people. I've been blessed to work with so many conferences. I've been blessed to brand people. I've been blessed to do album covers and single covers for some of the big name gospel artists. I am now two-time Stella Award nominated, and I'm praying this year I bring it home, but I'm two-time Stella Award nominated. And so it's just amazing the opportunities that God has given me. Honestly, the scripture, I have lived out that scripture that your gift will make room for you and place you in front of great men. And so God has literally lead it, Lord Jesus. See, pray for me. God has literally led me and guided me in my gift and placed me in rooms unimaginable. And I know that he's going to even do more. So that's just kind of where I am. I love doing graphic design, logos and flyers and album covers and EPs and bulletins and all of those things. So that's what I do.
Awesome. The way that I started is that I don't know if anybody remember this, and I guess I'll tell my age. I'm 30 years old. A long time ago, my mother was on the computer, and she was designing some stuff in, I don't know if you remember, Print Shop. That's the very first thing that I started designing, and I did a business card that I designed, and from there, my mother has taught me basically everything she knows as a graphic designer. Yes, my mother is a graphic designer. Her name is Darlene Roberson. She has taught me 90% of what I know.
He's
And
phenomenal, y'all. I'm telling you, he's top notch. He's phenomenal.
now Stellar Award winner. I'm gonna get there sooner or later one day. But to be able to learn and glean from my mother and to be taught, I get my singing from my father, and my charismatics from my father, and my creative part, which my dad is creative as well, but I get my creative part from my mother. And from there, I have connected with multiple different gospel artists and conferences, the AIM convention, and so on. And I am so grateful and honored to be able to be blessed with the gift of being a creative person. I'm not like other people. It's kind of hard to, because growing up, a lot of people wanted me to play basketball or sports like that. I wanted to get on the computer and design somebody's T-shirt or design someone's hat or whatever. And that's what I was able to do. While my brothers were playing the games, I was doing that. And so with that being said, did you see yourself becoming something else other than a graphic designer? Because I know for me, I wanted to be a lawyer. At first, I was going to go to do that.
Honestly, my cousin can vouch for this. Her name is Cassandra. I wanted to be in middle school. I had made up in my mind that I was going to be a chef. Literally, I was going to school for culinary arts. I was going to go to this school, I believe, in Atlanta. We had talked about it, and I didn't like to cook. I just liked to eat, okay? And so I had made up in my mind that that's what I was going to do. I was going to school for culinary arts. I did not see being a graphic designer in my future at all. Clearly, I shouldn't have seen being a cook because I don't even have the patience to cook. I don't like to cook, but that was just in my mindset that that's what I wanted to do, so.
Okay, speaking about cooking, God has also blessed me to be able to dabble in that as well. I am the type of person that will literally go all out, even for breakfast and for things like that. That is something that I desire to actually do after I am done with being a graphic designer, but I don't know if the Lord is going to allow me to do that. But my question to you is that what are some of the hardships that you had to face as a graphic designer, as a creative person, mental-wise, and then also I know that you just lost your pastor. So how did you go about dealing with that as a creative? And I know that there's a lot of creatives out there who are facing, with COVID, losing people, and you have to deal with, who is calling me? While I'm on live. All right. You have to face and deal with being a creative and also sticking out, even though that you know the person, that you knew the person, that you still have to be strong in order to create their brand. So how do you deal with the hardships?
How much time do I have? Because it's so much that entails so much language that I have for it. And I don't know if this is the right time at this moment to share what God has given to me.
Go ahead.
But God has given me so much. Let me say this. Before I was a designer and a creative, I was a praiser. Before I was any of that, I was a worshiper. Before I used my hands to touch a mouse, I used my hands to clap, and I used my hands to lift. I lifted my hands to worship and honor God. So that's just who I am by nature, and I appreciate God for that. I appreciate God for the life and the legacy that He's given me. And I've been through a lot. I've literally been through a lot in my life. Some things I've never articulated, some things that God has reminded me of, in this season of my life, especially in the last 3 years, and then specifically, if I could break it down, in the last 8 or 9 months. And so first, I want to do this because they said I could be myself. They said I could be myself. I want to honor, again, the host, Pastor Milton Bowden. I want to honor him, and I appreciate him for this opportunity. It's so humbling. I promise you. I feel like that other people are qualified, but I thank God because he placed me on your heart and you asked me to be here. And because of that, I just pray God's blessings and God's favor on you and what you're doing for the kingdom. I'm praying now that God would literally, that he would show you that he's with you and that he's for you. I pray now that you would find favor, not just with God, but with God and with man. And I really believe that you're going to find and you're going to see favor with those that are in great authority, those that are your city councilmen and those that are in whatever capacity. I really feel, I really sense in the spirit that you are going to find favor. And I'm praying now that even as you are building the kingdom, whether it be in person or virtually through this conference, I'm praying that as you're doing that and as you're pouring out, that God is at your house and he's fixing things and he's making crooked places straight and he's healing things. And I pray that there will be nothing lacking, nothing broken, nothing missing in your finances, in your health. I'm telling you, God is going to blow your mind because of your yes. And it's so needed and it's so necessary. The Manifestation Conference is necessary. And I was even thinking about the title, the theme, getting the glory back. And it's not exactly what it says, but in just getting the glory back, getting the manifested presence of God. And I thank God because there has been a lack of glory in the church, not because it's dissipated, but because God has taken it to preserve it because people have mishandled it wrong. But I thank God because God is restoring the glory, his manifested presence back, and I believe that he's going to use the Manifestation Conference to do that. So I'm so excited to be connected. Never met this man until yesterday, until today, but I told my brother Drew, I said, I love his spirit. I love his spirit. I love his spirit. So I honor you. I honor you and your wife and your family and those that are connected to you. Also, speaking of creatives, and I'm going to answer all the questions that he asked me. Speaking of creatives, I think a lot of times we spend a lot of times dealing with the work portion of it, or in regards to the work ethic. But you can get online and look up how to run a business. You can get online and look up, how to write policy and all of that stuff. You can learn that, but we very rarely talk about the war of a creative. We very rarely talk about the trepidation of a creative and the mental illness and sometimes the mental anguish of a creative. And so I'm just going to, for just a few minutes, God has just laid it up on my heart to share my testimonies because that's how we overcome. And so I want to encourage the creatives because speaking of being a black male right in the middle of social injustice and racial injustice. And I believe, I'm telling you, not just believe it, but I know us as black men, us as black people, we have it hard. It's tough. And it comes with a set of challenges that we didn't ask for, but it's just handed to us. And so as a creative, we have so much against us. You have to understand that God was the creator and he wrapped himself in flesh and all the stuff that Jesus went through. Drew already know. I'm going to tell you, when I start talking about God, I'm a talker. So I'm trying to get through here. But all the stuff that he went through and all the opposition that he had and that he faced and all the feelings that he had and, wanting the cup to be passed from him and weeping and all of these things, it was a real thing. And sometimes we are afraid as creatives to talk about that. We talk about our work ethic and work hard as you can and get the money and do all of that. And so we can literally have a bank full of money and still be dying on the inside because things are untouched and things are not talked about. And so over the span of my life, I've always, and a friend of mine, he was a prophet, he helped me with the language. I've always been in war. I've always faced so many hard trials in my life. I've always felt like that I've gotten the short end of the stick and I was misunderstood and, I was different and I was an outcast and I was gay and all of these things that people would say about me, and it made me kind of close up and it made me not be who God created me to be. And so I had all of this mental anguish, and, I had identity crisis. I didn't know who I was. I was scared. And I'm telling you, I'm just now getting out of some of this stuff where I would not even leap. I would not even jump. I would not even have the faith to be all that God has called me to be, because I was scared of rejection, and I was scared of failing, and I was scared. But I thank God, and I believe that I can speak to many creatives even now. I pray now that God would raise you up, and God would give you a new level of strength, and God would give you a new level of faith to do what He's called you to do and be. Hallelujah. I get excited who He's called you to be, because the Bible says that the earth is travailing and it's waiting on the manifestation of the sons and the daughters. And so I'm speaking to a creative, amen, this afternoon to let you know that the world is waiting on you. They're waiting on your dream. They're waiting on your testimony. They're waiting on your vision. They're waiting on your business. Yes, they are. They are. I'm sorry, I get so excited. They're waiting. They're waiting. And it's the trick of the enemy to make us close up and not be and not move like God has told us to move. And so I've been through so much trepidation, so much trauma that I'm learning. These past 3 years, God has been, He's been teaching me who I'm not. He's been teaching me, because so many things have been, hallelujah. And then I'm going to tell you, if I start speaking in tongues, we are at a church conference, okay? Amen. And I believe where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's liberty. And so I feel at home. But I've been through so much, and so many things have been spoken of in my life. And because I didn't know who I was, and because I was immature, I took those things and I held them dearly. And it made me operate, or the lack thereof, the way that I have. But I thank God, because there is a God that will affirm you. And He will remind you that you are royal. He will remind you that you are chosen. He will remind you that you are called and you are anointed. But it took time and it took process. And so what God has been doing, I've been unlearning what's been instilled and imparted in me by people who really don't even know me. I'm still talking to creatives. Because a lot of times we're misunderstood. The way that we dress, the way that we think. This is men and women. The way that we process, the way that we put things together, it becomes weird to some people because they don't understand it. It becomes, they just make us feel crazy. But God said, I made you that way. But about 8 months ago, I lost my father. I lost who God had placed in my life as a father figure. He was a man that always affirmed me. He was a man that never, ever, ever, ever made me feel like I was a black sheep. He was a man that never made me feel that I was an outcast. He affirmed me again, like I said, and made me feel special up until the day that he passed. He made me feel like I could do anything. Right. Well, one day, and I'm just sharing a little bit of this, one day he was a healthy man. Ran 4 or 5 miles a day. He was healthy. He was built. And one day he was cutting his grass. That's what he loves to do. And he fell out in the yard because he had an aneurysm. Never been sick in his life. Never have went to the hospital in his life as far as we knew. And the Lord took him. And it wrecked my life about 9 months ago. Wrecked my life. I mean, completely destroyed me. And I literally thought that I was going to lose my mind. And so as a graphic designer, as a creative, my creativity went out the window. I could not think straight. I could not process. I lost clients because I just didn't have it in me to design. I was dealing with so much. Some days I would sit. This is a real thing. Depression is real, and we don't really want to talk about this in church, but I would sit on my bed some days for 45 minutes and just look at the wall, not even knowing where I was. I would sometimes get in my car and drive for 2 hours, burning gas, but not even realizing it had been that long because of what my mind was visualizing, and the trepidation and the mental anguish. And so it was in that time, from that moment to this moment, that God revealed Himself to me as a mind regulator. He revealed himself to me. And I'm saying this because a lot of us as creators, we've gone through so much trauma that sometimes we can't perform the way that we desire to, or the way that we used to. And we're saying, God, I have the money, I have the policy, I have the clients, but something is not, it's not adding up. Something is missing. And it's the trick of the enemy, because he wants to destroy our minds, because our minds is the way that we process. It's the way that we think. It's the way that we see. It's the way that we form visions and articulate them through whatever way that we articulate them. And so God literally, he has been teaching me how much of a mind regulator that he is. I'm sorry, I get so excited. He's been teaching me how much of a mind regulator he is. And throughout this process, I've learned so much about who he is. I've learned so much about who I am, but I've learned also and got language for the warfare of a creative. We're so rare. We're so different. We process so differently. And so what the enemy desires to do is to take our ability to process. And it's hard, and it leaves us in depression. It leaves us dealing with suicidal thoughts. It leaves us dealing with anxiety. But I declare and decree right now that the peace of God is finding every creative, and I pray now that we cast down every vain imagination and high thing that exalts itself above the knowledge of God. I pray now that we take into captivity every thought that's not like God. We bind anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, because life is worth living, and somebody's waiting on what we have. So how did I deal with it? I leaned into God, the creator. I'm just a byproduct of him. So I had to lean into him and say, God, help me. Give me peace. We were taught not to do this. I'm almost finished here. We were taught not to do this. We were taught not to question God. But I found myself, I understand the Bible says he desires truth from the inward part. And so I found myself in my life being real honest with him. Like, I'm frustrated, I'm tired, I don't understand, I'm mad, I'm angry. And I can do that because I can't speak for everyone else, and don't take this on if you don't want to, but I can do that because God is not intimidated by my feelings. He's not intimidated by my questions, because he knows I don't understand. To this day, I don't understand why he took the father figure in my life, my pastor, my uncle. I don't understand it. And some days I find myself driving and shaking my head like, this don't make sense. But it's his love. It's his grace. It's his mercy. It's his strength that lifts me up, that builds me up. So that's how I've dealt with the hard things in my life. And God has given me remedy for it. With the next thing that comes that try to attack my mind, I understand I just got to lean into God. And so that's my encouragement to every creative that's dealing with anything in this moment, and you feel depleted and empty. You feel like that you can't get your wind back. I'm telling you, if you would just lean into God, if you would just trust him and pray for strength, petition God for strength, I promise you, and peace, I promise you, you'll find it.
Awesome. I think that he said a lot there. I am not going to prolong that. What I'm going to do is move forward. And thank you so much for that. That was excellent. I really do appreciate you for that. What I want to go over is to help those creatives that say that you are a graphic designer, photographer, if you are a let's say, what are all the creatives? There's a graphic designer, there's a photographer, there is a videographer, and I think is that the three?
Well, I think for me, my definition of creatives is anybody that can have a vision. Yes. Because you have thinkers, you have articulators, and you have doers. Right. You can be all three, or you can be one of the three. Right. And so I think, conference hosts, I believe that they are creative. Yeah. People who design T-shirts, or people who, in whatever capacity that God has given you something, and whether you can actually do it or you can just articulate it, I consider you a creative. So it's not just a designer in whatever capacity. It's just anybody that can see something beyond them, something bigger than them, and they can articulate that, or they can do it. So
cool. So what is this? How do I start off? Let's say that I want to become and get into that as a graphic designer, or as anybody that has the ability to create something, but they actually want to make money from it. What are some of the steps that you would suggest that people do?
My suggestion would be that you study. Study. YouTube is phenomenal. I wish we had
Yes,
YouTube. I
YouTube
mean, which I've
University.
always had YouTube, but I wish I knew about YouTube and how important it was and how helpful it was before I went to school, honestly, and now I have student loans, but they really, even going to school, they didn't, it seemed like I knew more than they knew, and they were teaching me, but so YouTube, study, and I believe that there's so many groups now. Drew literally introduced me to, and that's kind of how we met, a graphic designer group that really helps and aids. And so there's so much literature, but there's so many people that have done what you're trying to do or what you desire to do. So I think study and then seek out communities that that specialize in what you want to do. And then do not be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to say, I just want to know I don't know how to do it. So that's that in whatever capacity. Like I said, get a community, go to events. If you want to be a conference host, go to an event and see how things move and operate and see if you can, be kind of like a undergird, a conference host or whatever.
So, what are some of the ways that you do in order to come up with the concepts that you do? Because I know that you have worked on, I know we spoke about this multiple times, you have worked on YLC, you have worked on John P. Key's album, you have worked on, who else album? He also did J.J. Harrison's You Deserve It cover.
Miracle Worker.
Miracle Worker cover. What about the next one? What was the next one?
So last year I was nominated for a Stellar, and it was due to J.J. Harrison's cover, Miracle Worker. I did that one. Shout out to E1 and Omega George and Gina Miller that gave me that opportunity. This year I am nominated for James Fortune's I didn't forget the name of his last album that he just came out with. I am responsible for designing that. So,
what was your thought process in designing all of those? Let's say YLC. What is your thought? Because I know I'm the graphic designer for Manifestation Conference, and the thought process the way that I do certain things is that I basically go and look at all and study other brands. So one of the steps I do is look at my main inspiration is Bishop T.D. Jakes with the MegaFest. And then also not only MegaFest, I'll then switch over to, I will look at YLC. Yeah. I will look at the AIM convention. I'm doing that.
Yeah. You look at yourself.
Look at myself. The AIM convention, then switch over and look at, who else is there? Woman Evolve and how they did their stuff. And so what are some of the things that you do to get inspired or to start the design process to build these brands for these clients?
Okay, so there is no rule of thumb. I promise you there's no rule of thumb. So people process things differently, and it's depending on who you're working for. When I did work for YLC, of course, Elder Mark Moore, he's a visionary. And so a lot of times he articulated what he wanted, and I was responsible for articulating through, digitally and visually what he desired. He would send me things, or he would say, I want a clean look, or, I want a corporate look with a little color. And so, that's just kind of how I did that. That's how I designed that. As far as myself, if someone comes to me and say, I don't really know what I want, I just want something, they usually say, I want something really clean. And I don't want anybody to take this on as a rule of thumb. This is just how I process. So for me, this is literally a gift of God and a gift from God. And I say that because how I process is it just feels good to me. It feels right to me. It clicks. That's the only indication that, this is it, because it clicks. Let me tell you this, and I'm not going to say this is a secret, but I literally look at other things. I don't follow a lot of graphic designers because I don't like to copy, or, sometimes we all think the same, or sometimes we can look at something and, subconsciously create the same thing or something similar. But I do look at other things, whether it's Pinterest or, I just see things, driving down the street and, I get inspiration from those things. So a lot of times I just sit down at my computer and I start working until it feels good. I just start, that's just how I don't, some people write stuff down, some people draw it out first. The way I think is I do. I'm not really wanting, I'm trying to get to that point, just to learn another way of doing it, but to sit down and come up with a concept and just kind of write it down and kind of brainstorm. I don't really do that. My brainstorming is actually doing it. So somebody will give me a thought and they say, what do you think about this? I say, you know what, I won't even know until I sit down and start working, and then it clicks. So that's how I process.
Dope. As you were saying that, as you process, I think what helps better is to have clients who will send. And so some of the things that I ask the client to send me is photos. Mm-hmm. One person here who is one of my main clients is Eddie Baltrip, and Fulfillment and the Fulfillment Enterprises. And I know for a fact the way that I help clients out with him, I said the first thing you need to get is professional photos. Mm-hmm. And so he said, well, Drew, I'm going to do everything you need me to do so I can go ahead and so you can just be great and be great at what you do. I said, yes, sir. And so this is what I need you to do. First I need you to do is to get professional photos. Now, how do you go about designing the flyer or doing that when the person does not give you the professional photos? Do you continue to take on the client, or do you deny the client because of the level that you are at now? Mm-hmm. Do you say, okay, well, since you don't have professional photos, do you say, okay, I'm just not going to deal with that? And then also the piggyback question is that do you take many clients at one time, or do you spread them out? Go ahead.
I do not turn anyone down because they don't have professional. So my job is not to, professional photos are great and they make everything look phenomenal. However, I'm only responsible for designing what you give me. Right. And so if you give me a pixelated photo, I will do the best that I can to make it, as polished as possible. But if that's what you sent me, listen, your only responsibility is to send me the photos and send me my payment. And then I do the rest of it, And so I don't turn anyone down for unprofessional photos. I just do the best. Now, in regards to my portfolio, I make the decision whether I want to post it, or not, depending on, But I say that to say I do my very best with anything that professional photos, you can take the same flyer and a professional photo versus unprofessional photo would make it look 10,000 times better. Like, way better. Just the change of, that pixelation just makes it 1,000 times better. So no, I don't deny anyone. Hopefully you have professional photos. If you don't, I'll make it work. I'll make it work. Most time for me to make it look better, this is a rule of thumb. Some people don't like this. Some people don't. I've literally heard several visionaries say that they don't understand why graphic designers do this. But the photos that are pixelated, most time what we're going to do is we're going to put them in black and white. We're going to put them in black and white because it makes it look better. Yeah. And so some people are scared of black and white. I love black and white, Black and white pictures, I can put it'd be a red, yellow, blue, pink, purple, fuchsia flyer, and then I put a black and white. It's just, I did a whole Forever Grateful situation, my own brand, and my pictures were black and white, and people was like, that's so dope, that's so dope. Yeah, and so most time that's what we'll do. When we do it black and white, sometimes it's not because we just want to do it black and white, but when you have a pixelated picture, it just makes it look better. As far as clients and taking them, I don't like to take a lot of clients because I'm telling you, and this is no excuse, this is a reality, and I believe that Drew can speak to this. In the graphic designer world, I feel like it's like one day is as 1,000 years. Like, I don't think people grasp it, which is really not your responsibility to, because we have to be men of our word. But I can literally say I'll do it in 2 days, and it could be a week that passed because of the way that we do so
The
much.
way
And
we think.
most time we're running from not day to day, but from night to night.
Yeah.
And so the graphic designer world and how we count our days is just so. I think people think that we intentionally like they just took my money, they didn't do it. No, I really can say I'll do it tomorrow and look up and I'm like, oh my God, it's been 3 days.
Yeah.
And I've been working the whole time.
Right.
Again, that's our responsibility to put a system in place so, to be integral. But no, I try not to take on a lot of clients because I know I run the risk of doing that. I run the risk of kind of taking too much on and things taking too long because the way that our mind, the way that we process.
Taking two, basically, you say, okay, the good thing about that is, well, no, the bad thing about it is that whenever I take on, I feel like I have to do it for that person because I want that person to look good.
Yeah.
And so even though I'm working on another project, they will come and they say, well, I want you to do it. I want you to do it. Right? I said, well, there's this person. You can go to this person. No. I want you to do it. Right? And so we, as creatives, how do you deal with that? Like, you can probably help me out with that. Like you said, you take on people, but how do you deny the person that you have a relationship with or you have the friendship with and you really want their brand to grow? So do you say no or?
Well, communication is important, and as a graphic designer, let's just be honest. I'm gonna be completely honest, because some people thinking it. As a graphic designer, communication is it can be problematic for us. It really can. It can be problematic for us, especially when you don't have a team, because I'm not only the designer, but I am the administrator. So I check the emails and I do everything. I don't have a team behind me, so I do everything. And so I spend time designing, and then it's like I got to check the emails, and sometimes I'm designing 2 or 3 days straight and forget to check my email, and then it's been and so I think just communication, I'm still learning that communication is a big thing, and just telling them, hey, I appreciate you for wanting me and for wanting me to do it. I'm honored, but I can't do it today. I can't do it this week. I can't do it until next week. And most time, honestly, they'll say, okay, well, I can wait till next week. Again, I'm playing the devil's advocate because, I'm just going to be honest. Sometimes, we want the money, and we really mean well. Like, okay, I got you in 2 days. I promise you I got you, because in my mind, I'm like, I can do it. And then it don't happen. So, again, communication is the thing. So just communicating. If you really can't do it, then say, I can't do it. Yeah. If you can do it, but you can't do it until next week, say that. I got you next week. And so that gives them some sort of expectation to say, okay, cool, I got it. Now, I'm going to tell you this. My uncle taught me this, and I'm not going to say it verbatim as to what he said, but don't come to me. Let me say it nicer. It's difficult when you come to me with an emergency and want me to do it last minute, and it's because of your inconvenience that you want me to be inconvenienced, and then it's not fair to me. And you basically, some people have literally, I feel like they've kind of backed me in the corner because I need this and I need you to do it tomorrow, and I'm like, I can't. And then they feel like that, I'm missing out because I'm like, I'm so sorry that you waited until 2 days before your conference to do the flyer with all the speakers, but I can't do that. And as much as I want to, I can't do that. So sometimes people's emergency, they want it to become your inconvenience, and that can't happen. So it has to be it's a two-way thing: communication from both ends and understanding from both ends.
Understanding from both ends. Oh, we have a question. Go ahead.
Okay, he's asking the question. I'm going to repeat it when he gets finished. So. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. So his question is, what is it? What do I think, in my opinion, is a fair price? Just he specifically asked about a flyer for the client and for the designer. What is a fair price? There is no rule of thumb. And then he said that sometimes he's the middleman when they ask us for a flyer and we tell them the price. You know, he's kind of the middleman because the client is saying, why is it so high? Why is it so much? Why is it so, you know? And so I'm going to say this. And I'm gonna tell on myself, but hey, you know, I guess I'm telling on myself today. Most time people, when you pay me, you're not paying me for the time because it don't take me a lot of time to create a flyer.
Sometimes it do with me.
Sometimes it does, sometimes it don't. Sometimes I can do a flyer in 30 minutes. Sometimes I can do a flyer in an hour, hour and a half. So you're not really paying me for my time per se in the moment of designing the flyer. You are paying me for my process of thinking. You're paying me for the time that I've spent in studying and creating and honing in on my skills and my craft. You are paying me for, like I said, it's a lot of mental anguish that comes with designing. You know, I'm sitting in front of the computer, things are running together, all of that stuff. So most time you are paying a designer for what they've already studied and what they've already, you know, you're literally paying them. The reason that you call them is because you want them. The reason that you call them because you think they're good. And so you're paying for that. And so a lot of people, I know people that charge $200 for a flyer. I know people that charge $250. I know people that charge $375 for a flyer. Yeah. I don't. I charge $100 for a flyer, period. You know, I used to charge, when I started, I charged, I think, $45. Then I went to $65. Then I went to $85, and I was scared to go to $100. But I understand is even though I can do it faster, it still takes the same amount of brain power. Yeah. And so you're paying for my brain, okay? You're paying for my brain, and it's a whole thought process with. And I'm going to add this to it as well because I think this is sometimes even frustration as designers. Because there is a formula in our head. When you say, I need a flyer, I'm having a service, and I say, send me all the information. How many speakers do you have? I have 3 speakers. Okay, what are the colors? What is the information? This is the information. I want the hotel on, I want all of that. Already in my mind, I've already processed because there's a formula. I've already processed, okay, this could go here, this could go there, this could do this, because it's only so much space I can work with. It messes us up when you say, oh, I forgot, I got 3 more speakers. That's what you're paying me for, okay? Because now I have to recalibrate what I saw. Can you just add? No, I can't just add because now I have to move everything around. It's like it being, I don't know how many chairs in there. I'm just saying 150 chairs in here. And then it's like, oh, man, can y'all just add 50 more? Right. Wait a minute. It means we're going to have to regroup this and we're going to have to recount, you know, so it could be. And so as designers, that's why it's so important. Please send us y'all information. All of your information. Of course, we miss things and it's a mistake. You know, I understand that. But please send us all of your information. So a lot of times that's what you all are paying for. You're paying for the mental work that we do and not necessarily the physical work. So does that answer your question? Okay. And so people's price points are different. This is the thing. As a designer, you have to know your worth and you stand on it. As a client, you then make the decision to where I want to pay this much to get this quality, or I want to not, and I'll pay this to get this. There's some people, I don't believe that people consider me a great graphic designer. I don't consider myself that. I believe that and I'm not saying this because he's here, because I've told him this. I believe this guy right here can design circles around me. However, I do know that there's some people that can design circles around me, in my opinion, that charge way less than I do. And so my encouragement is, what I'll do is, because I'm secure in what I do and who I am and my price point, I'm not going to change that unless the Lord tells me to. I'll say, well, you know what? I really want to help you, but because you can't pay this, I suggest you go to such and such and such and such, which is an alternative. You know, and so we just have to know our value, and then, like I said, the client or the customer has to just accept or deny what they want to pay or not.
Does that answer your question? Can you do me a favor? Can you give him a mic real quick? Do we have another one? So they can hear him on the line? There we go. And can you come up here, Pastor Ed? We're going to add you. No, so the saints can see you. You can actually stand in front of the camera if you want to. He don't want to. There you go. So you guys can hear him on the line.
So honestly, I didn't know that people would or could charge $375 for a flyer. Mm-hmm. I figured, $200. But again, when you mention, they basically are telling you in their price what they feel they're worth. Mm-hmm. So okay, so I guess somewhere between $75 and $375 is fair for a flyer, depending on who you are.
Yes, depending on who you are. I'll say it this way, and graphic designers say this. We do not go to Walmart and say, oh, no, y'all need to change this price because I'm not buying it. I am going to buy it, but you got to give me this because this is ridiculous. Either we leave it there or we pay for it. I say that even for myself. There's some things that I desire and I want, and I just feel like they're just too expensive. I ain't paying for it. But I can't make you come down on your price, so what I do, I either just don't get it or I find an alternative. And so I say that, and I don't want to get in trouble because I'm not, I'm never against designers. Some things, some prices that I see, I feel from a personal standpoint, it is ridiculous. And I'm like, how in the world could you even, how in the world do you sleep at night charging that price? However, one thing I do know is some people pay that price because they want it. And sometimes it's just because of the name worthiness of it, just who it is. Like, I'm going to pay this because of whose name is on it, and, And so it's just, I think at that point it's just a decision of the customer and the client. And it's unfortunate sometimes. I have come down on my prices, and I've helped people sometimes because I understand that some people, they're really not trying to get over on me. They really just don't have it. But I'm so honored and humbled that you would think about me and that you really want my work. I'm like, you know what? I got you. Right. I do it for this. But then there's also some people that I'm like, you got the money. You just trying to get over on me. So then I have to stand up and say, well, I'm sorry, man. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, woman of God. I can't do that. I'm sorry. Maybe next time.
All right. So I can say for myself in regards to charging, I think I'm a little different. It depends on the client. I actually have a set price, but I don't have a set price. Because everybody's different. I'm also the type of person that I'm a giver, and God has given me that spirit of giving to want to give to people, and it makes me happy, and God always takes care of all of my needs, whatever I need. I understand people are saying, well, you got rent, you got this. I know Clinton just posted, he said, if we keep it at economics level, he says it's 2021, cost of living is different from what it is 20 years ago. And so, no, I'm not charging you $50 for a flyer anymore. Clinton Gorham is one of the best graphic designers that I know. He's one of my main inspirations, and I understand that his pricing is totally different from mine. And so the way that I go about it is, one, he lives in California. I just moved to Indianapolis, Indiana, and so the cost of living there is cheaper from here, but my prices are still the same. And so I've just been soaring like crazy in Indianapolis. But the thing is that I'm a giver, and so what I do is that I may find somebody who really doesn't have it, and I love what they're doing, and I literally just go ahead and say I'll do it for free, and I'll just give it to them for free. Now, I'm not saying that I'm going to do that for everyone, because I still need to pay my car payment, my rent, and I still travel, from here. I'm at everybody's city. I'm going to Dallas next week, and so I got to pay for those plane tickets and stuff like that, and so. I do have my set price, but sometimes it depends on who the person is. And I'm not going to charge TD Jakes no $100 for no flyer. No, I'm not.
Yes.
I'm not charging TD Jakes no $100 for a flyer. He going to pay me about $375 for a flyer, because one, he got the money, and I know that he understands that I'm going to put everything in it that I can do. There was another question on the live. Let's go back to it. Can you read that from?
Yes, I believe it was Pastor Anthony PG. He said, If the graphic design industry is considered a business, should the client care about your personal problems?
Yes. The answer is yes. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm going to play the devil's advocate, only because I've learned this through experience. Some people, they don't care about your personal.
They don't have
They
to.
just want this stuff. Also, in the same sense, we have to understand that I am the middleman between someone's dream
Right.
I am the middleman in between their dream being a thought and coming into fruition.
Yeah.
I am the middleman between their visual being a thought and people actually seeing it. And so again, I think that it's understanding and care on both ends.
Yeah.
So if I'm about dead, then I mean clearly I can't do it. But if I just have a cold, or I'm sick, or we're in a time now where we're dealing with COVID, some people will say, well, how would you deal with that? I think the smart thing to do, and I think the wise thing and the integral thing to do is either you refund them the money back if you can't do it, or you find an alternative.
Right.
And you give them an option to say, I can't do it because such and such and so, but I have another graphic designer that's willing to do it. And so either I've already talked to the graphic designer as far as payment. You know, if I'm sending, let's just say, Drew, if I charge somebody $100 for a flyer and I get sick, I can't do it, and I talk to the client and say, hey, I can't do it, but I talked to another graphic designer and I approve him and he's top notch. But Drew says, hey, I charge $150. So now this is my responsibility because I can't I can't do what I promised I would do. So it's my responsibility to, if we've had a conversation, to give him the 100, and then I have to come out of my pocket with the $50. Or I would say, okay, I can give you the money back. I apologize. But I'll give you the money back. And so what we can't do is, honestly, we can't, and I know sometimes it's hard because life happens, but what we can't do, and I've learned this the hard way, is say, I'm dealing with something in my life, and they just gonna have to accept it, and because everybody goes through something. Well, that's not fair because they've given you the money. It's not fair because they've trusted you with it. Now, after I explain that and I give you an alternative, if you still desire to, talk crazy or, have feelings about, then I'm not responsible for that at this moment because I've communicated. So should they care about us? Yes. Should we care about them? Yes. And we should do it mutually. We should. That's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, the reason why I say yes, they should care, one, I'm the type of person I'll refund because I don't believe in taking people's money and, just running with it. I'm not that type of designer. It may take me a minute to refund you back your money, but I'm going to give you back your money. You will have it back in your account. My job is to make sure that I make sure everybody feel comfortable on both ends. There was a time when I was sick I think I had accepted previous to COVID. There was a lot of stuff that happened. I accepted multiple, different projects before COVID, and then COVID hit. And then next thing you know, I'm dealing with having to pay this, pay that, and then they can't pay me because COVID, happened. And so now I'm trying to balance that, and then I get sick, and I still have these projects that are sitting on my desk to do. And then I made sure that I called each client and I let them know what I was facing, and I could not do the work, and it was just a horrible time of my life during that time. And when I called, I had gotten one call from a client who said, well, I understand that you're sick and everything, but I do need this flyer by tomorrow. I was literally in the hospital. And here's the thing, that how much I love my clients. I was sick in the hospital bed, gown on and everything, hooked up to the IV. And I asked my mom to bring my laptop so I can finish this flyer for this client. And my mom told me, boy, no, I'm not bringing no laptop down there for you to do that. But Mom, I said, Mom, like he said on the live, that this is a business And so you have to make sure that every client is happy and stuff. But I couldn't send it to the next designer, one, because the client has already gave me the money and I already done spent the money. And so I could not give it to the next designer to do because now I have to fulfill this client's need. And so after I couldn't get my laptop there because my mom wasn't going to send it. And so I said, oh, I have to go because I don't want to be dealing with the whole I'm going to post you on Facebook situation.
Yeah.
You know. And so what I decided to do is to go home and try my best to do the flyer. I did the flyer, and I was able to get it to the client. And after I did that one flyer, I just knocked out and could not take any more. I want people to understand if I have clients out there that that are watching this, that I love everyone, and so I'm going to do my best to do what I say I'm going to do. And because I have special clients who really depend on me, they only trust me with their brand. I can't give it to another designer because if I give it to that other designer, they're not going to basically baby it or cradle what's the word? Rock it the way that I will take care of that their dream or their brand. And so, how do you respond in regards to the whole money situation?
This is not I want y'all to understand this so y'all won't ask for a refund thing back. This is real. This is reality. And I can speak for myself. I'm not an insurance company. And so people don't pay me a premium every month and don't use it. Okay? What do I mean by that? So people don't pay me every month, and then I just have money sitting in my bank account. And so, if you decide to use it or decide to want a refund, then, hey, I'm going to give it back to you. I said that to say because I think sometimes people think that entrepreneurship is a hobby. I think that sometimes people think that it's just something that, we kind of do. But I've literally been a graphic designer full-time for the last 6 or 7 years. And so this is the way I make money. I don't have a 9-to-5. We understand that in the graphic design world, anything creatively, it goes up and it goes down. Some months are great, and then some months you don't hardly get anything. And so I said that to say it takes a lot out of us when we get the money. I don't get the money to go buy new shoes. I get the money to pay my bills. And so I get the money. And I've had to tell clients this before. I get the money, and as soon as it comes in, sometimes it seems like it's going out. As soon as it comes in, it goes out. And so that's another type of, and I understand it because, hey, I didn't ask you about that. I'm sorry. You should have some money saved up or whatever. I just know I did not get what I paid for, and so you got to give it back to me. And so, but that's a different level of stress that falls on me sometimes. I'm like, you know what? You're right. I got to give it back to you, but I don't have it. And I promise you, I didn't go spend it on shoes. I didn't go spend it. I literally went and paid my car note with it. Yeah. And I just can't call Toyota and tell them to give me my money back so I could get, And so, again, that's not the client's responsibility. I'm not saying that by far. I'm just saying that there is war sometimes, and that's the stress of entrepreneurship. It's like, man, I had intentions to. My heart was, because I don't believe in gypping people. Yeah. It's been times where, especially in these past 9 months, where, man, one day I was feeling good. Yeah. I was feeling good, dealing with the loss of my father, my aunt, like feeling good. Like, okay, I can work today. And I'm accepting clients, accepting money, and then 2 or 3 days. And I promise you, I would go in the dark for 3 or 4 days, quickly. And so God is teaching, but I would go in the dark, and I'm like, when I come out, I'm like, dang, now I got to give them their money back because I miss my, And so on top of me dealing with grief, now I got to give the money back. And I'm like, God, where am I going to get the money from? Because I needed the money because I haven't been. And so, it's just a tough thing all the way around. And I believe that some people understand it. And I have to put myself in those shoes, because if I'm paying for something in any form of, if I order something from Amazon and either they don't bring it to me or they bring me the wrong thing or they took money out of my account, too much money, I'm calling you and I want my money back today. Right. I want it today, and I'm not getting off this phone until you fix it. So then God reminds me sometimes, like, you do the same thing. So I'm like, man. And so I got to figure, if I got to borrow it from a family member, like, could you please let me borrow the money? Because I got to give this back to whoever. So it's a lot that goes into it. I hope y'all are feeling this, because I'm just being real, because I get both sides. Because I'm a client to something. I'm a consumer to something, so.
Right. Okay. So now I love what I think it's Barry Smalls. He says, "Can you speak accepting the payment from clients before starting the projects are after?" So here you can take on that second one from Clinton. The reason why I accept, because I know that if I don't do it, I'm going to be in the position to pay you back. I'm going to refund you back that money. I can't get back if I done did the flyer. I can't get that back that time. I can't get that back. I can't get back the time and doing the design and working and missing other projects I could have taken, and then I done did the design, and then you talking about I can't pay you, or I have to pay child support, whatever you got to do, and you can't pay me my money. Say, I can give you back the money, but you can't give me back my time. And so that's the reason why I take the funds up front, to be able to, and also you're retaining me as your designer, you're retaining me as your graphic designer by putting that project, the money down, so that I can say no to others, because this person said that I'm going to commit to you, so here's my funding to basically a deposit or whatever. Go ahead.
So I'm so glad, excuse me, that you guys started going down that lane. Again, being in the middle with some of my clients, when I go to the graphic artist to ask you all to do work for my client, and the graphic artist requests full payment before any work has been done, that seems to be a major issue for my clients, because they're trying to understand, if no work has been done, why am I paying full price?
So your work can get done.
Right.
No,
You know what I mean?
I get it, yeah.
So maybe you guys can enlighten us a little bit on why you ask for full payment up front.
I can tell you my reason why. Now, I do have a minimum, and by that, let me say this, it depends on the client. I've had church that pay me $2,400 up front. I've had people that would argue me down if they're not about to pay me $100 up front, $5. So it just depends. The reason why I start doing it is because in my early years of designing, I was so zealous. I was so excited. And I promise I would stay up at night. I would work, send these people the flyer, and they would disappear on me. And guess what? They're posting. They having a conference. They have it. I had one person, and I'm telling you, most time it was church people. I promise you, I had one person tell me for 3 weeks every day, and I'm not lying. I'm not lying. And if I'm lying, you strike me down. You ain't gonna strike me down because I'm not lying. They told me for 3 weeks every day that they were on their way to Walmart to send me my money. Every day. Every day. I'm on my way now. Like, where is Walmart in Jerusalem? I don't know. Like, where are you going? And so, and I would get so, and I'm not a fan of getting out of character. I'm not a fan, because I understand, and that's why I mess up with God. And it's not even about cussing or anything like that. I don't like to get mad. I don't like to get angry. I don't like to, it's all about a heart thing. So if I get in a place to where you done made me mad, then we got to do something else. And so many times I would get burned because I would do my best and not get anything for it, or get something for it 3 weeks down the road. And especially when I'm just starting, I'm taking this project because I need my money now. And so if I tell you my turnaround time is 3 days and I do it in 3 hours, I need you to give me, I did it. And so that's why I start taking money up front. First, I started with 50%, but then I ran into the same problem. You would pay me the first 50, I do the whole 100% of the flyer, and then you don't give me the rest. Well, what really can I do other than blast you on Facebook? Unless I want to go through the court system, I'm not doing all of that, because then I'm going to have to pay. probably up front. You could have to pay for, later, but I'm just saying it's too cumbersome. And so that's why I start charging 100% up front. Again, because I'm led of God, God will tell me when not to. He'll tell me when to say, okay, I've had some people to say, could I just give you, and I could sense and discern that they were being really honest. Oh, okay, let's go. Let's do it. I can give you half up front. You can give me half up front and I'll do it. There are some people that I've had to turn down because I know you have. I know you have $100 because I know you do. I do. I know you do. And so I'm like, I can't do it unless you pay me. And so it is, let me be honest, again, the devil's advocate. It is trust issues on both ends, and I have to understand that. And so what I do is I tell them, I'm very active on Facebook. You have my number. Like, I'm not going to take your money, and I promise you, I'm going to be on Facebook. I'm going to be like you. I promise you, you're going to find somebody that's connected to me that you can reach out to me if you feel like that I'm gypping you. I'm not going to hide. In regards to my invoices, my address is on there. My telephone number is on there. And so I try to, in those moments, try to comfort them and kind of give them that language to say, even if you feel like I've disappeared on you, I promise you can. And then, I've had some people, honestly, I went into those dark moments and they'll blast me on Facebook. I don't even respond to it. I just say, okay, I understand, And so that's why I'm of a different breed. Look, I'm of a different breed. And I'm like, okay, I get it. I know you're mad, you're frustrated, and you feel played. And so what I'm not going to do is kind of, even though that's not my intent, has been the reality. So I'm not even going to try to, all I'm going to do is on the back end, I'm going to try to fix it, and then we'll move on. So I said all that to say that's why I receive my money up front, because of trust issues and because of being burned. And I think he's going to bring her the mic.
Before she, this is the mother of our founder of this conference. Before she goes, it says, Clinton goes and says, the whole feeling creative than going on the dark for days at a time is definitely the struggle of creatives. Sometimes we don't feel creative. So go ahead.
I was going to bring out for the point of charging up front. I started my business so that I could help people who could not afford the big ticket items. Wow. But yeah, they, well, can I pay you next time? Yeah. Can I pay you Wait, hold on. I'm not doing this for fun. That's what people need to understand. I didn't start a business so that I can do stuff for fun. I have to pay my bills. Yeah. And two things I've learned. One, yes, I do a percentage up front. It's non-refundable. So if my service is $500, I need at least $250 down, and that's non-refundable. So if you decide tomorrow you don't want it anymore, that's on you. I still get to keep, because people would do that. I'm gonna give you this. Now I've stayed up all night. I've done the work, and now, oh, I don't have it. Okay, well, that's fine. So now what, you get a percentage down, and then when you're ready for it, you can give me the rest of it. So no, I don't make you pay 100% up front, but you're gonna pay me everything before you get this service done. Even though I've done the work, I will not give it to you if you have not paid the whole thing, and that's fine with me. And mine is a little different. You guys are usually more quick. Okay, we have an event coming up on such and such day. Mine is business filings and, 501(c)(3)s and things like that. So it takes more, it's time. That's weeks of me researching and paperworking, and you're going to give me my money or you're not going to get your stuff. But number two, I wanted you to know, I had to understand that certain people weren't my clients. Yeah. You can't pay me, you ain't the people I need to be dealing with. Right. I used to just accept because I needed to pay my bills. I had to feed my kids. I needed this, and I'm in hustle mode. Now, oh, no thank you. When you get the money, just holler back at me. Right. I'm not that. Yeah. I'm not grabbing for it anymore, where I used to be like, okay, just give me the $20 and we'll work, and next week I'll give you $20 more. And no. I need my money now, and if you can't, then holler back at me when you can. Period. My clientele is different. Yeah. Everybody is not your client. Yes, ma'am. And I get we in hustle mode. I get that. I get that 100%. But we have to be okay with who our client is and who they not. Everybody can't have me.
Yeah.
Everybody don't get, that dude right there is bad. I don't know about your work, but I know this one. Everybody is not his client. I am. But everybody can't be his client. But seriously, even with you, you have to be able to say, oh, I can't deal with you today. Come back when you're ready for my services. And let God handle the rest, because he will. We get in hustle mode because, I'm going to say it, we don't trust him 100%. We say we do, but we don't. That's why we go into hustle mode like that. Okay, I got to take care of this. I got to do this, and we stressing it. What happened to, okay, God, whatever you say, I know you will provide. I am your child. You will provide. Yeah. Whatever happens, God will provide. So we have to keep those two things in mind. So that's what I'm telling you. Get your money. Yes, if they don't want to give it, let them go about their merry way and go get somebody else who will take it. And maybe those people run off with their money. But you're good at heart. You're sincere. You're going to get the work done. You're good at what you do. So don't just take stuff from anybody. Neither one of y'all.
I completely agree with it. You all don't know how much money I've lost. I'm putting it in quotation marks because I know who I am. And I said, you know what? Sometimes you're right, you're in hustle mode and you just get, but it's been sometimes I'm like, I need this money, but I don't need this money on your terms. I need it on my terms. And if you can't meet my terms, and then that's how you teach people how to treat you. You have to teach people how to treat you, because if you don't teach people how to treat you, they'll run over you. They'll do it. And guess what? It's not their fault. It's your fault. They'll go, yeah. And so, again, they'll go pay someone else. They'll meet we just have to, I let my policy at this moment talk for me. I learned that earlier because of my heart and because I love to help and so what I'll do is I'll let my policy talk. Now I'm not saying this boastfully, but I'm a man of God, and I operate in discernment. So I let my policy talk, and then I'll talk to you. I'll talk to you after you read that, and then God will tell me whether, Yeah. So and I want to add this too. And I think every entrepreneur can speak to this. This is a big frustration of mine. Promised money is the worst money. What do I mean by that? Promised money is the worst money. We are entrepreneurs. So when you tell me, I mean, you've sworn up and down. You've reached out to me. How much is your branding package? My branding package is $500. Okay, I want to get the branding package. Okay, what do you want? They send you the flyer. They send you the pictures. They send you the pictures and information, and they say, I'm going to pay you Friday. Okay? Of course, I don't start working until I'm paid. Well, in my mind, I've already started saying, okay, so I have this bill due Monday. Okay, so that's going to go there. Get to Friday, nothing.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is I've had a lot of clients. I've have a client, it's not a client because I've never worked for this particular client, but it seemed like every 2 months they reach out to me and say, I need you, man. For the sixth time. Yeah. I mean, it's so urgent too. Yeah. But they've not paid. So at this point, I said, I don't, and I just, yeah, okay, cool. Just send me. At this point, I'm like, when you get ready to send it to me, And so I'm speaking to even clients. Promise money is for entrepreneurs because that's all we get. We don't have grants and we don't have, we're not paid by the state. We only get what you pay us. And so when you promise us that, we've already in our mind, we've placed it where it needs to go. And you have to understand, because we have to manage our money. If it doesn't come through, it puts us in a bad spot. Not because, you could say that ain't fair, or you could say that that's your fault. But I'm saying if you've really, really, really made a promise, I got you Friday. What am I supposed to do? Because the thing is, I wouldn't have never expected the money had you not told me. And so I've already processed in my mind. And so, I would just say, help us out even in that area. If if something comes up, then that's different. But if you're really not going to pay us for something, don't get our hopes up because we place that money, in certain areas. So,
All right, I'm going to answer one thing. Anthony PG goes and he says he's a pastor. One of the a good client, he goes and he says, I agree with Drew. I think designers should require a deposit opposed to full payment if they have a history of not meeting deadlines. Now, I could say this in front of everybody. Everybody know me. They understand how I work now. I understand that I don't meet. I'm being open and honest. People understand I don't meet every deadline. But I'm going to work on that. I'm saying that openly. Yeah, put it on me. I'm going to work on that. I'm going to work on that. But I can bet you this: when you do get your stuff, you're gonna be floored when I do deliver what you paid for. But I will work on meeting the deadline because my thing is, the client's thing is, I'm paying you. If you're gonna say you're gonna do it, do what you say you're gonna do. If you say you're gonna have it to me by Monday, don't come Tuesday talking about my computer died. Don't come Wednesday talking about I had to fly. I don't care about that. I understand the client side. You say, and here's another thing, is that especially, I just got through doing Cool JC's graphic work for their stuff. They had their stuff like on it. They made sure we need this, and this at this date and this time. Their production was really, really good for I commend them for their conference. Excellent, well put together because they had their stuff together. They knew exactly what the time. And there are some times that I did miss the deadlines. And it caused a friction because if you're supposed to have the flyer, and they already said, we're going to market this flyer at this time on this day, and you don't deliver the flyer a whole 2 weeks later, you didn't cause them to miss registrants. You didn't cause them to miss money, and you're causing all this stuff as a designer. And I understand that we have issues in our own lives, but you got to understand that we are causing stuff to happen with churches. I'm dealing with pastors who come to the designer and they say, well, I am dealing with a board who pays you. And so they're looking at me as the pastor and I'm telling them to trust me, because just trust me, he gonna come through. And then when they done paid you, and then you come back and you still say you don't have the work, and he gotta go or she gotta go back to their board and tell them, well, he or she doesn't have the work, and you're causing all this friction in the church, and it's not good. And so us as the designers, us as anything, even not even on the design, if you are a sound person, or if you are a video person, or if you are the lighting person, if you are a photographer, or if you are a cook or a chef or whatever you are, if you say you're going to do something, at the end of the day, do it or communicate it.
Yeah, I can't even say much after that because it's the truth. We have to do as designers. I'm speaking even for myself. We have to do better. There's so much that comes with it. It's so much reality that comes with it. But what we do understand is people they didn't pay you for an excuse. I know that they did not pay you for an excuse.
They sure didn't.
They did not. Listen, I hear y'all. Probably that they did not pay you for an excuse, and but I do think that it's worth talking about because I can almost guarantee you that every graphic designer, every person that's worked with a graphic designer says I hear a lot of the same things about graphic designers, which means it is in the genetic DNA of a designer. That does not mean that it's right. So I be like, y'all, if you need it,
You gonna have to book
if
me
you
a whole
need
2
it
years
next
before.
month, You should have sent it to me last year. That's
Last
all I can say.
year.
You know, no, I'm just playing. Yeah, no, and I'm not. No, I'm not. Again, I'm not making an excuse because it's something that we have to. We got to work on.
Yes.
It is. I'm not even gonna lie to you. It is tough.
Yes.
It is hard. It
Yes.
is difficult. And again, because if it just when we understand this, and again, like I said, I'm a church boy. When we understand that God has designed us to be creators, we are made in His image. We have to understand that there is an enemy. This is not an excuse. This is reality. Yes. We have to understand. So there is an enemy always coming up against our mind. There's an enemy always coming up against our creativity. There's an enemy always coming up against our vision. And so we're not just people that sit at a computer and do it. We deal with, because of the people that we are in the earth and God has called us to be, we deal with forces that if we are not aware of, I'm telling you, it will ruin our lives. Yeah. No, and we don't really want to talk about that, but the scripture says Satan come but to kill, steal, and destroy. And what I'm saying is, I hate to be deep, but that's a real thing. When we are in the world as ambassadors to cast vision and to articulate vision through a vision, anything, I'm telling you, we're fighting. We are fighting ourselves, and we're fighting literally spiritual forces, and it's somebody say that's deep. It is, because I can speak for myself. It's really tough out here, and so in order to fight through, I mean, I don't know, y'all. I don't have the remedy for it, but all I can say, as far as me and Drew is saying the same thing, that it is something that has to be worked on, and it's something that it has to be worked on. There has to be some type of system that we put in place that, keeps us from and it's so good to have, and I don't understand it. I don't understand why there is so much competition. Yeah. With the graphic. Am I talking right?
Go ahead, sir.
Somebody amen me over here. Was that the light? There's so much. Y'all don't really understand. There's so much competition with graphic designers. And if we really would bind forces, when I'm weak and when I can't see and when I don't feel, somebody else can pick it up.
Yeah.
I promise you, that's the thing, because it's going to happen. We're going to go into the dark places. We are going to not feel creative. We're going to not be creative, all of that. But what happens, what would happen if when I don't, then you pick it right up and we move on? Yeah. Nobody's missing the deadline. Let's talk about community and unity. Yeah. That's the real thing. That's not an excuse. That's the reality, is if we realize that we're all the same thing, though we process and think differently, we can really help each other. The Bible talks about when one is in the ditch, it's good that somebody else can pull us out. Yeah. And so that's the conversation we really don't want to have. But like, that's problematic for me. I've had designers reach out to me here recently saying, dude, what's going on? Like, why is there so much, like, we should come up? And I said, Lord, if you be my help, he's given me something for a graphic designer collective, and I'm like, I want to do it because I'm all for networking. Yeah. I'm all for working together, and I know that I'm not the end-all, be-all. And because I know that means something that Drew has, it can enhance what I have, and something that such and so have, it can enhance what I have and what we have. And if we realize that, and if we would come together as a community, there will be, thank you, Prophet, this is a good friend of mine, he says this all the time, there will be nothing lacking, there will be nothing broken, and there will be nothing missing. And if we can get that right, because that's the device of the enemy. Yeah. In regards to, I'm speaking for designers, to divide us and to keep us on these islands where we feel like we got to make a staple for ourselves and our business. Listen, at this point, I used to want, the Rico Britton Designs, that's the name of my business. And I said, I don't care at this moment what my name is. Just give me the money.
Right.
No, honestly.
Secure the bag. That's all I care about.
Give me the money. It can be anybody's name. I'm just saying, give me the money. And so when you understand that, you'll realize that I don't have to take this on by myself. It wasn't meant for me to take this on by myself. Right. I am not God, even though I'm an ambassador of it. He created the whole world by himself, but he ain't causing me to do that. He's not calling me to do that. And so I'm like, hey, if somebody can help me, please help me. Yeah. If somebody can join forces with me, let's do that, so we can literally make a whole movement out here in these streets, and it will be another like Harlem Renaissance.
Right.
Langston Hughes and all these people
Yeah.
and I'm gonna hush, but these people that during that movement with the music and the arts, it wasn't just one person.
Yeah.
It was a group. It was so many people that came together that made the arts make sense. And for some reason, we are so divided and we feel like that we can change this world by ourselves. But if we would get together, there will be a whole nother renaissance that could take place where we're all in this together. So
Yeah.
that's my heart. That's my heart.
I know for a fact that one of my counselors and my mentors is Eddie Bouchip, and I've spoken to him multiple times in regards to where when I was younger, I used to get upset when I seen my work being duplicated, and I would come and vent to him and say, this is happening, blah, blah, blah. I got to the point in life where I embraced the whole, I'm gonna call up Larico, I'm gonna call up Clinton, I'm gonna call up Joseph Anthony and Jadarian Sanders and who else is there out there? Fatima, Stacia, D'Angelo Gardner, all these graphic designers who are out there. I'm gonna call them up. Who? Rochelle, all of them. Davachi, all of them out there, and I am going to embrace them if I need something or whatever I need help with. I have came to that point where I need all the designers to be with me on my team, and so we can work together, and I can be on their team, whatever they have for their clients and stuff like that. So when I got to that point in my life, God has blessed like tremendously, and so it's no longer a threat. Yeah. No designer is no longer a threat. God has opened my eyes to that, where I'm not a threat to nobody and no other designer is a threat to me. We are working together to make sure that we can meet the client's needs at the end of the day, because that's all I care about, is to make sure that the client is happy. Go ahead, Mom.
You all somewhat covered this earlier, but your boy Ewing said, how do you determine the quality of your work for pay? And Clinton is on here. Tati, maybe y'all could jump in as well in the chat.
Like time, yeah, like she said, time and experience for me. Like, and again, I hate to be this person, but no, I don't hate to be this person. I only increase when God tells me to. And so when I was at 65, God told me to go to 85. When I was at 85, God told me, and what I understand is, even looking at, this is me, so don't adopt this unless God, even looking at the state of the world and, inflation and all of that, I still don't determine my prices on that. I don't. Because when I really look back and say, I don't even know how I started designing. Like, I don't even know where this come from. I don't even have anybody in my family that's a designer. Like, nobody tutored me. I understand that God gave it to me, and the only way I'm going to be able to keep it and be sustained is if I do what he tells me to do. And so for me, now I'm going to stick to my policy. I'm not going to let anybody walk over me, but in regards to determining, there's some people with the work that I do, they say, I don't understand why you ain't charging $250 for your flyers. And I say, I do. I understand why, because for me, my heart would be wrong too. That's me. My heart would be wrong because at that moment, it's all about the money. It's not, and it's not about helping. But what I've realized is in moments where I have given a discount or given it for free, God has made it up in a different way. And God has increased something else, or somebody just sent me a seed. And so I determine my value by being in God. And I hate to sound real deep, but that's the remedy. That's my equation. Whatever God says, that's what I do, and I'm really not moving from it unless he tells me differently. And I have not, my price for a flyer has been $100 for probably 2 or 3 years, and I ain't moved it up yet. But I promise you, when he tell me, I'm going to move it up, and that's just where it's going to be.
Well, we are actually at our time, but what I want to go over real quick is to answer this question: how do I become a graphic designer? How are ways to become a graphic designer? I know for a fact that I just offered my classes. I was scared to do it, but I finally did it because I had a lot of people coming to me. I want to learn how you do what you do because I'm a graphic designer for my church or from my, my ministries, and I need to be able to be on site at the church in order to create, simple designs. And so I have a class that I just started. I had my first class on, I think it was last week or this week, Monday. It was on Monday. It went very, very well. And so if you are interested in joining that class, you're still able to join it. What I would do for those who are watching right now, I will give you a percentage off. So it's at $250. So I'll give you $50 off to join now. And for the next, I had 2 more sessions in that class. So if you really want to learn how to be a graphic designer, please don't hesitate to go on to www.drewcreativestudio. That's studio.com. Go ahead and register. I will also, you'll be able to message me once you register for the $200 and let me know that you register under Manifestation Conference. And the ways that you can, I'm waiting for his class to start so that I can go ahead and pay my $500 registration to be a part of his class. And so if you can, go ahead and follow him. What are ways to follow you?
So you can follow me, of course, through Facebook, Lerico, Lerico, Britton, Britton, and that's on Facebook and Instagram. And my business page on Instagram is Lerico Britton Designs. In regards to reaching out to me, I am working, I am designing. I want to be completely honest with you in this moment. I am just getting back into it after the passing of my father, the passing of my pastor. And so I'm trying not to take a lot because of all the things that we're talking about. I don't want to run into those issues and fail people and then ultimately fail God. So if you go look at my page, go look at my work if you like, and you want me to work with you, do not hesitate to reach out to me. But I'm telling you, I will communicate and give you, a timeline or something of that sort because I'm not 100%, back in. But reach out to me because I need money, okay? So don't neglect to reach out to me. But, I appreciate you all. So, yeah, Lerico Britton and then Lerico Britton Designs. You can follow my design page on Facebook. I'm not really active on Facebook as much at this moment. And even if you go to my page on Instagram, you'll see I haven't updated a lot, but I do have some of my latest work on there. And I'm going to work on updating that. But, again, the past 8 or 9 months have been kind of, rocky for me, so.
Cool. All right. We want to honor the president and the founder of this conference, Minister Milton Bowden, for the opportunity. Let's put our hands together for him. We do honor him, and he has made this platform for us to come and give this workshop to you. No, this is not just a conference where we come and shout and run around. This is a conference where we actually learn something and actually glean from each other and stuff like that. And he has had this vision for a very long time, and hopefully he would invite us back again next year. I know for a fact that there is a music workshop following right after this at 2 o'clock. So please join in with my friend, my brother, the one and only Pastor Vincent Bohannon.
Yes.
He is he still award winner yet?
I think I don't know. I think he was nominated.
Nominated. Okay, so he is. Yes, awesome. He's a great man of God. His songs are really, really good. I hope that my friend Anthony Junebug Turner can join in on that music workshop as well to talk about what he does. And if you have a chance, please go download his album that I have on repeat every single day. So if you can go and tune in at 2 o'clock today, Pacific Standard Time, that will be awesome. Let's get into the ways to give to this conference. We do want to support the visionary as well as because, things they do cost to make this happen. And so this is the ways that you can give, that if you wasn't able to make it here, you're able to give on Cash App at TOG CSD, Venmo TOG CSD. The same thing for PayPal, TOG CSD at gmail.com. And then you you're able to make checks payable to Temple of Grace Church, you can call or message me, and I'll be able to see how ways so you can send that check over, and we can get it to the leader of this conference and the finance committee. So we do thank you again. We also thank Mr. Larico Britton that came all the way from Nashville, Tennessee, and he has to catch this plane. So we want to get him to his flight. And we thank all the people who asked the questions on today. Thank you to those on the live, Tatiana, Clinton, Anthony Peachy, all those, Barry. Thank you so much for your support and your time today, and we appreciate you, and we'll see you back here. Oh, go ahead, sorry.
I just want to, before we leave out, because I want to be obedient, I just want to say a quick prayer for the creatives, and then I'm finished.
Yes.
Father God, we thank you, we love you, we appreciate you for this
Lord.
opportunity.
Thank you,
I thank you for this opportunity. I thank you for the host, Pastor Milton Bowden. God, I'm praying now that you would just continue to grace him and continue to favor him, continue to give him vision for such a time as this. God, we thank you because he's so necessary.
Yes,
he's
Lord.
so necessary. The anointing and the calling on his life is so necessary. Jesus. God, we thank you because glory is being restored back to the house. Glory is being restored.
Yes,
the
Lord.
manifested presence of God is
Lord.
being restored back to the creative.
Yes,
and I declare and decree that every creative, that
Yes,
something
Lord.
will be stirred up in them today
Yes, Lord.
as they're listening to this, as they've listened to this, as they will listen to it in the future. Something will be stirred. God, I pray now that they would start seeing like they've
Lord.
never seen. God, I pray in whatever capacity that they are creative, that
Yes,
when
Lord.
their client or when their co-workers, when they do what they're supposed to do, put on their shirt, when they go to their conference, when they tune into their live, that they will feel the presence of God. God, I pray now that you would cover the minds
Yes,
of the
Lord.
creatives, those that are
Hallelujah.
dealing with anxiety and depression and suicidal thoughts, those that are dealing with grief and rejection in
Yes,
whatever form. God, I pray now that your
Yes,
spirit, I dispatch angels in the name of Jesus,
In
that
the
it would
name
go
of
and
Jesus.
minister to them. And God, give them the reason why. Again, let them know that they're necessary
Yes,
and
Lord.
that the world is waiting on them. And
Yes,
God,
Lord.
we'll be careful to give you the praise, the glory. God, we pray for protection for those that are coming
Yes,
and
Lord.
those that are leaving today from this conference. Encamp your angels around about us.
Yes,
And
Lord.
we'll be careful to give you the praise, the glory, and the honor. And I pray this prayer by faith in Jesus' name.
In Jesus' name.